Hello, my name's Tom Carhill. I'm going to make a video today. It's going to be very quick. It's going to explain a particular legal definition, which is the corporate veil. The corporate veil is a kind of veil which hangs between different corporations. So, for instance, if you had a holding company, which may be a PLC or a limited company, that can have other limited companies based below that in the family of firms, which all share profits with, use the branding of the top company. It doesn't have to be use the same branding, could be completely disparate. People wouldn't necessarily even have to associate them together. But what you get is if one of those companies owes a load of money to somebody, the parent company doesn't have to necessarily pay their debt. Now, that may be different if they have given them a letter of comfort, which is a type of guarantor's letter, which is normally accompanies a dodgy set of accounts which don't really make sense for one of the subsidiaries. So, for instance, if you've got company A is one of the, say, 10 firms below the parent company, and they have to get their accounts audited, and the accountants won't want to sign it off because if it's a full audit for a proper company that does lots of money through it, it's not like what's colloquially called an audit. It's an actual audit where the accountant has to basically put his neck on the line, like a surveyor surveying a house and saying it's fine. He has to actually say everything in the house is fine, not like you said it's fine and I'm trusting you, so it looks okay, we'll put it into the company's house, for company's house purposes, we'll file it with this down on it, but it's going to be on you if it's not true what you've said. They're actually looking into everything and making sure that that is actually fine. They're saying it's fine. Now, often, if they've had to put a letter of comfort in there, or a guarantor's letter, that's what that is, it normally lasts the duration, I believe, of that accounting year. So it basically says that if there's a problem with these accounts, as in they don't really have there's no proof of any substance in this business, something doesn't really make sense, we're not happy to say these accounts are fine. The parent company has said we will, it's a parent company guarantee to guarantee their debts, just like if you bought a house and your mum and dad said that they would be a guarantor and you couldn't pay the mortgage, they would ultimately be jointly liable if you couldn't. Right, so effectively the corporate veil goes between different firms. Now, for instance, in certain instances, you'll get a firm that basically will appear to be trading as one firm. They'll always use one name for the firm, but they'll actually have different segments of firms, and each firm will claim to be completely different. Now, this is where the corporate veil comes into play, right? Because if it transpires that these firms are being used in a kind of sharp trading stroke, illegal stroke, even criminal manner, where they're deliberately putting them in place to firewall them from any liability, and they don't really serve any purpose other than to firewall from any liability, then there is a case for lifting the corporate veil. And that's to say, look, you're just chancers. You've opened up two companies, you've run up loads of debt in one company, you've been paying all the bills with that one, you've been misleading people, making them bill that company, whereas all these companies are all doing the same thing anyway. Then a court order can basically lift the corporate veil. Or if you were owed money by one of them, you could say, no, I'm owed money by the group. I thought I was dealing with that group. I was misled. The corporate veil can then be lifted. Another time when the corporate veil can be lifted is if it turns out that these operators of this firm or family of firms are using the different bank accounts of the different firms as kind of like a little piggy bank that they just take money out of to use for whatever. So, for instance, they're pretending to buy land with one. They're saying that people in one company are buying land. Turns out they're buying another company, and they use that money that those people have paid into that company for the land for something else. Like, say, they've decided to go into the automotive business and they've bought a car yard. Those people have got no rights over that car yard. The people who paid them the money for the land for something else. If they're just using the money, chopping and changing between the different companies, there's a very good case to say, well, there's a stone bonker case for saying lift the corporate veil. It's just a fantasy. It's a fraudulent construct to trick people, and it's a way to firewall. It's sharp trading, may be criminal, may not be, depending on how far they've gone down with it. But anyway, lifting the corporate veil, that's what it is. Also, I believe it's a maxim, you cannot contract out of law. You cannot make something legal through contract. If it's illegal, and I don't just mean criminal, if it's illegal, If you find a contractual way of making it appear that it's legal, like, you know, you find a way of getting around the law, that's different. But if you find a way of making something that's blatantly illegal legal just by an apparent different, you know, you just set up 2 limited companies, takes 5 minutes, costs 60 quid or something like that. If you've just done that and then you run up millions of pounds of debt in one of them and they're actually both doing the same thing and you're deceiving people into thinking, you know, the corporate veil can be lifted. All right, so that's what it is. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.